At Blackfoot Communications, our mission is to connect people, businesses, and communities to their networks in Montana and beyond. Through Blackfoot sponsorships, local ambassadors, and public programs, we support initiatives such as the Emergency Broadband Benefit, fiber deployments, and community events. For information on our commitment to improving our communities with fast, reliable, and secure internet access, go to blackfootcommunications.com/news.
Tremendously physical game, probably hard to officiate. I thought both teams battled. It was a defensive-minded, game, on both sides. It came down to we just made a couple more threes. I think at the end of the day, holding them to only 4 threes was critical for us. Because they can really get that, they can really get it going, especially Beasley. When they start that dribble drive stuff, it's really, really hard to guard. And they got going with it a little bit in the second half. And I thought our guys. Late we got a couple big stops. Kellen Tynes I thought came in and had a couple, huge strips and rebounds. But really proud of our bench. Our guy, 2 freshmen, Great Osipar and Sam Lekalot, that came in and we don't win that game if they don't do what they did. And Sam set his 7 points in the first half was tremendous. And anytime you're playing against a Coach DeCuire team, like they don't beat themselves. Like you have to go beat them. They're too disciplined, they're too well coached, and he's just got really good players. And that's why he's been as successful as he's been. But to only have 11 turnovers, and Xavier to not have a turnover against their ball screen defense and as aggressive as they were guarding him, I thought was tremendous. And Amin and Jubrile, like our older guys, they played like older guys, which you have to do in games like this. Jubrile I think got a double-double in the second half, which we needed, every little bit of it.
Danny, you've talked a lot this year of finding ways to win. How do you feel maybe about the last minute of this game, specifically where Belo gets the dunk off, kind of like a fluke save inbounds? You mentioned Kellen's steal, Dooley picks up a charge, you go 5-6 from the free throw line, and just kind of the winning plays that you need from your team, right?
Yeah, I mean, we call them championship plays. And you have to make those plays to beat University of Montana. To beat a Travis DeCuire coach team, you have to make those plays. And I kept telling the guys the last 8 minutes, you can't wait for something to happen. You can't wait for the rebound to come to you. You have to go make the play. You have to be aggressive. And if you're not aggressive, you're not going to win the game. And our guys, give them all the credit. They made those plays, especially late.
Did you see that aggressiveness maybe in the first couple minutes of that second half where UM starts 1 of 6, you kind of stretch that lead to 10-12? What did you see out of that sequence?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if that was when Amin made a couple baskets in a row. Then they started. They bounced right back. We had a couple sloppy turnovers, and they started driving us and getting to the free throw line. And but that's what they do. They're really good players and they're really hard to guard. And we got just enough stops to win.
Was there anybody in particular that you tried to key on? You said you had to kind of pick your battles and kind of determine who beats you.
Yeah, you have to key on a lot of their guys because they're all capable. Carter Hollinger, I thought he played tremendous early. Bandon, I think is one of the better players in the league. He's such a mismatch because he's skilled. He can do stuff on the perimeter. He can drive it, and there's just not that many guys with his size that can do that. At our level. Beasley was a big key. Because I know, watching their games, especially in the second half of games, like he's broke open some of the games. The Weaver game, was one that just comes to my mind right now. But when he gets making threes, they're really hard to beat because then they can space you out. And then they got guys like, Cam Parker and Whitney and those guys that can really drive you downhill.
Given that you played in this rivalry game yourself, and there's so few of your guys have, on my count, it's just 3. How do you kind of get them ready for what this game means to both communities? Like this game,
you don't have to get ready for it, and you don't have to get their guys. I know he doesn't have to say anything to his guys. They know, they hear about it, and leading from the football game on. It's the biggest game in the state, and it's something where I wanted to keep our guys aggressive, but I wanted them to get all the emotion out before 5 o'clock today. And we talked about it yesterday, we talked about it Friday, and once that ball gets tipped, you got to play. You got to let everything go, and you got to play. You got to hoop. You got to be aggressive. And I told them, I said, you don't have to have any anxiety. You don't have to be anxious, nervous, because you got each other. You got the guy next to you. Fall back on him if you need it. And, but you don't have to get up for a game like this.
And is there any kind of sweetness for you, as a head coach getting, your first win against Montana?
Yeah, I mean, there always is. I mean, anytime you beat a good program, I mean, it's sweet, and obviously it's a rivalry. And, I mean, as sweet as it is, I had this in my back pocket. This is the box score from 2 years ago. I've had this on my mirror for 2 years. I look at this thing every morning. I had this thing on my fridge. I've had this, this is where I wanted to get this program. Now, I know we have to continue to get better because when we play them in Missoula, they're going to be ready. And it's going to be even more physical. And we have to continue to improve. Winning this game, yeah, it's huge. But this isn't the end-all be-all. We're 4-2, they're 4-2 in the league. Okay? What we're playing for is to continue to get better, so in 2 months, we're playing on championship night.
Any more, guys? Good?
I just wanted to ask real quick about Jubrile, and especially the defense in the second half. I mean, he stopped Anderson, forced him into some tough shots early in the second half, blocked Bannon on the reverse. Seemed like Montana wasn't trying to feed the ball inside as much after that. Did you notice that, and did that make him a little bit more one-dimensional?
I don't know. I mean, they still got to the paint, got to the rim. I mean, he saved about 6 points, though. His blocks were huge, and the timing of those blocks, were huge because it was like a 4-point game where they could have cut it to 2. And he blocked it, and we got the rebound, which is huge because a lot of times he blocks the ball so hard it just goes out of bounds. But we ended up getting some of those loose balls, late, which is huge. But I think that's what he does. He's won a lot of games for us. Saving us when guys drive, him just making unbelievable blocks.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, you mentioned Kellen Tynes' steal late, a couple other plays late. How big was the Xavier Bishop and one after they cut it to 3? I think they hit a 3, cut it to 3, and he came right back down.
6.
Yeah.
He made a good read on that play. Had a great burst to just finish. Because they make it tough to finish at the rim. You watch every single one of their games. You have to play through contact, and if you bounce off them, you're in for a long night. And it goes back to what I was talking about. You have to be the aggressor. You have to go into them and initiate the contact.
Let's go. Good. Thanks, guys.
Not a lot of players on this roster have played against Montana. You, Jubrile, and Bora, am I kind of the only ones? How do you go about making sure your other teammates kind of recognize the gravity of this kind of a matchup?
This is more preparation. Games like this, days before, we got to prep everyone. We got to let them know how physical it's going to get, the intensity, the ups and downs, adversity, how we're going to overcome it. And I thought today we did a really great job just staying aggressive throughout the whole game. And especially on you guys, our freshmen stepped up and they came down to it, and that was good.
How physical was it through the entirety of the game? It looks like it was called pretty tight.
No, it was really physical. We knew we had to match their intensity. They're a physical team, and for us to beat them, we had to out-toughen them. And that's what I thought we did.
Jubrile, you came on pretty strong in the second half. All 10 of your points come there. I think your rebounds also. How important was it for you to kind of get involved after, I think, just one shot in the first half?
It was very important because I knew that I had to just flip the page so that we could, get the W in the end. And I just kept being physical, just kept being aggressive, going up strong, and just stick with it.
Can you evaluate what Coach calls some of the championship plays that happened maybe in that final minute? 5-6 from the line, Dooley picks up a charge, Kellen gets a steal kind of right at the end. How important are those kinds of moments?
Yeah, those are championship plays for sure because, games like that just reminded me of the tournament last year. And you go and win games like that by making toughness plays, by getting charges and, getting chested up and getting a stop.
Coach made the point that this just makes both teams, I think, 4-2 in the league now. So it doesn't count as anything more just because it's Montana, but to win against the rival, what does that make it prove that this team is capable of given the season that they're having over there?
I think the culture of this team has kind of changed now for the better because I've been in 3 years and I think personally this is just the best team that I've played on and in the past 3 years, and we're just flipping the script, we're just changing the culture, making sure that every guy is tough and we're not going to get punched in our own house.
And especially in the first half, it seemed like you were really comfortable looking for your shot. You found a couple
confident. Like, I'm confident in myself. I know if I'm open and I know my feet set, like I'm capable of knocking down the shot. But it's the flow of the game. Like once I see the beat of the game, like I'm able to just acknowledge anything and just knock my team out. I go if you just stay aggressive as well.
You talk about feeling confident. I mean, when you had that shot, I think in the first half, it was a 21-20 game. You pulled the three off the screen. It puts you guys up, and you don't trail the rest of the game. You look confident for that shot. What went into that? Just being able to sort that run, because remember, you guys didn't trail.
It's just staying aggressive, being aggressive all the time. If you're open, like what Coach Sprinkle tells us, if you're open, knock the shot down. And games like this is where you need to be confident in yourself. And we did that throughout the whole game. That's what stayed. That's what kept us.
I think you went 3 or 4 from deep. Most of that came in the first half because they were just shutting down Bella. They didn't let really any inside post looks. And I think that kind of opened up in the second half because that allowed you guys then to get inside.
Yeah, it kind of just shows the versatility of our team. Like anyone can score, especially our starting five. Like if your goal ain't going, like we got other guys that can score as well. If he's going, then the rest of us are going.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Coach, on this let you open it up with the general statement, and then we'll open it up for questions from everybody.
Tough game like we expected. I think they did a better job defensively than we did tonight. Going into any game, if you give up over 50% from the floor, 50 from 3, and you shoot below 40, it's going to be a tough one to win. I think that we did a good job fighting back, getting ourselves back into the game. Our defense got us back into the game, and I think we had a little more scrap in the second half than we did in the first. And so if we do a better job setting the tone in the first part of the game defensively, I think it's a different outcome. But kudos to the Cats. They showed up red and black.
Looked like there was a change in the second half. You really needed something on offense. Was it an effort to really have Cam specifically kind of look for his shot in the second half with 16 points?
We were struggling offensively in general. We just didn't really have very good flow.
Yeah.
And he got it going off the ball screen, getting to the rim. And when guys get something going, we typically stick with it until someone stops it. I think the defense was huge too because we got into transition. We got the floor opened up a little more, which presented some more issues for them on the defensive end because they weren't necessarily set. But he did a phenomenal job of being ready to go down the stretch and got us back in the game.
What do you take from a loss like this, given that you had them in the first half struggling offense, in the second half they looked like they just kind of found something?
Loss is a loss. I take them all the same. For me, it's watch the film, find some areas of adjustment, make some things, take some notes and be prepared for the next time around. Find some areas for us to improve upon between now and Thursday. Same thing I would have done if we won. So no game is any different in terms of whether you win or loss. Obviously, it's a rivalry game, but every game we play is a rival. That came up with the conversations. There's 4 or 5 teams in this conference that think they're rivals. So for us, we've got to be up for every single game. We can't treat any of them any different.
Cam had the big game.
One thing I think that you had to be particularly mindful of coming in is you knew you would have that play out.
They're low post presence. We knew that they would try to post up, like Eastern Washington was doing, and Belo presents an issue for everyone in this conference. He draws a lot of fouls. He's very physical, and he's just hard to stop when he gets the ball too close to the rim. So that was an emphasis, and I think that we were a little too emphasized on that in the first half, which opened up a lot of contested shots for Muhammad and Adamu, and that's why those guys go 5 or 6 from 3.
And MSU gets, their lead up to 12-13 in that second half. Obviously some poor shooting at the start of that. The second half kind of leads to that, to kind of come back, make the game kind of at the end. I imagine you have to like that effort.
Yeah, no question about that. You're going to appreciate the positives of any game and note them, and then find areas of growth moving forward to the next game.
How much did Belo influence the game on defense too? I mean, it looked like even when you got the ball inside, tough to go against him. He blocked a lot of shots.
He got a couple blocks. I thought we did a good job of moving him around and getting him out of the paint. We got in there quite a few times with him not there. I just don't know that we did a good job of making the right decision when we had those advantages.
Cam had the big game, but it was all in the second half. I think he only played 6.5 minutes in the first half. Was that just the way the rotations worked out, or why'd that work out that way?
I mean, Brandon Whitney leads us in minutes played. How many minutes did he play in the second half?
I don't know.
just, it's gonna be like that from time to time where, if something you think is working, you stick with it. If something, you're looking for something new, you go to that, and if it works, you stick with that. So, we got a lot of guys that can impact the game in different ways. You have different needs at different moments, and that's how decisions are gonna be made sometimes.
Seems like you guys kind of found yourself up against it in foul trouble early on in the second half. What was the message to your team, in that timeout about 7 minutes into the second half?
Well, I felt we got backed off a little bit. We needed to continue to play the way we play and just play through the calls. And, at some point in time, you get the same call.
You got a quick turnaround just at Utah. You kind of mentioned it a couple days ago with having the Sunday game. Now you got Thursday at home. What's the mentality going into that now?
One game at a time. I knew that this was going to be the toughest stretch of our season. When you're looking at 4 consecutive teams that are going to be in the top half of the conference, I don't know that anyone will have that stretch. You come out of that, we have an opportunity to come out of that stretch 3-1. So if we go back before we play Weber and you tell me we come out of these 4 games 3-1, I take it. Especially if you're down 4-1. So we'll be off tomorrow, get fresh, come back Tuesday, Wednesday, prepare for the opponent, and put our best effort out there and see what happens.
Cam or Josh?
I mean, Cam, it seemed like in the second half you started off driving to the basket, that opened up a little bit, and then you made the 3. I mean, do the strong takes up your confidence and get you going a little bit?
Yeah, I always try to get to the paint, whether it's sometimes being a scorer, sometimes being a passer. I just try to take what the defense gives me. Certain teams, they'll play me for the pass, certain teams will play me for the shot, and then they'll make the pass open, when I get in the paint. So today I felt like they were kind of sticking with the corner guys. Robbie had 19 or 20 last game against Eastern Washington, so they're not trying to leave him in the corner. And then we have guys that produce as well. So whenever you have a good team that all 10 guys can produce, it's hard to leave guys. So I felt like when I got in the paint, it was just easier layups for me.